Chris Thomas here with a long-term associate of mine. You know, every time I interact with him, I get smarter. I get smarter and learn a lot from him, you know, as well. And anticipating this particular interview, well, actually spun this interview and connection is when my guy Real posted on social media, you know, about, you know, being an entrepreneur when entrepreneurship wasn't sexy, you know, as it is now. You know, entrepreneurship is tough. Entrepreneurship is hard. You know, what are your thoughts as far as with the direction, as far as what entrepreneurship is today, and the tools that are in place now versus starting out your business 1999 and 2000?
I think entrepreneurship is slightly misleading. I think the world is being convinced that everybody should be a boss. Everybody should do this, and that's not all the way true. I do believe in ownership, but some people are better off being a right-hand man, right? Because a boss isn't just someone who owns something. Like, there's people who work for me that are bosses, and a lot of people can't endure the pain of the downside to entrepreneurship. So they're quitting these sexy jobs that they got, they're making X amount a year, they're giving up all these benefits, and then they say, I'm gonna go because I need to be my own boss and I'm gonna own this, but are you prepared for the struggle? You know, there's times when, with my marketing company, I couldn't make payroll. Now, I've been fortunate enough to always make payroll because of God. You have to have an extreme amount of faith in God to be an entrepreneur. And there's times I was in the shower and I'm like, oh God, please, payroll is in 2 days. What am I gonna do? And it took personal sacrifices. Sometimes you can't keep a steady relationship with, you know, with females. If you can't provide for your household, that makes you look sometimes less as a man. And then for real men, if you're not taking care of certain things, you don't feel great. So then it puts you in a low state. So all of those things, if you don't have it in your heart and your spirit to fight through it, it's not as easy as it look on social media. When you see us on social media, even myself, you only see my highlight reel. You only see, of course, throughout, you don't know what's going on, but even the garbage can get a steak. So you'll see me eating at some of the best restaurants, but you don't know what I went through that day. You know what I'm saying? So I think entrepreneurship is slightly misleading because everybody thinks it's just this great thing to have. And it is. But you have to know how much for you, how much it is really for you. And if you could make those personal sacrifices to not eat sometimes, have ramen noodles, have almost nothing. If you can't do that, then I don't know what to tell you. You gotta buy computers, you gotta buy inventory. So if you can't make those sacrifices, it's probably not gonna work out.
Speaking about that, you kind of lead into fear. You know, a lot of people procrastinate because of fear. Some people, they fear and they hold back. Some people are fearful and they work harder. You know, so what is your scope and thoughts, you know, about fear itself?
Fear leads to anxiety. The only way to not have fear is to not worry about the past and don't anticipate the future. Live in the moment. Because when you're living in the moment, you can handle things as they come. I remember one time I was thinking I was going to have a big problem with the IRS, and I was being fearful. But I remember someone said to me that actually worked in an IRS office, they said, well, at least look at it this way. At least now you know what you got to do. Once you start living in that moment, it's nothing. Now nothing, I'm scared of nothing. I fear nothing because I'm going to deal with it as it comes. If we get trapped in this building, what is fear going to do? It's not going to help me get out. So if I get trapped in this building, then my mind says, okay, what I need to do to start getting out? And then that fear give me courage. You know, I'll use the fear to be able to give me courage instead of fear. Because now that I got a game plan, I can say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here and I'm gone. So I tell people, don't reflect too much on the past. Don't try to live too much in the future. Live in the moment. so that way you can enjoy what's happening in that moment. Because too much worrying about the future is going to make you fearful. Damn, how long am I going to live? Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. You got a bunch of people who saying, oh, now I'm never flying in helicopters. Yeah, but the amount of times people die in a helicopter is nowhere near to the amount of times somebody's dying in a car. So you can't have that type of fear. You gotta live in the moment and enjoy it.
So speaking about fear leading to courage, how do you think people misuse courage or not have enough courage in particular situations?
I think a lot of times when that happens to people, you have other people inflict their fear on you, whether it's as a child, even as an adult. People put their fear on you. Somebody puts their fear on you, sometimes that can give you a lack of courage. I remember when I wanted to first start being an entrepreneur, my mother and family, just like most people from my generation, we're used to people having a job. Especially if you get a city job, now you lit because you got benefits. But when I go and say, well, I'm gonna start a business, all the fears of what they couldn't do, they project back to me. But I was a little different because I went to a yeshiva. I went to a Jewish school, so like where they really wore yarmulkes and wore tillets. So I saw young white kids and their dads as entrepreneurs. I went to a Catholic school. My friend Pasquale, his dad owned a pizza shop. So that wasn't scary for me because I saw all these white kids and these Jewish kids, their dads owned businesses. So for me, I didn't lack that. But for someone else, I could see that happens. And plus, people have that because they're fearful of being embarrassed, right? Anytime you think of being embarrassed, that takes away your courage because you don't want to be embarrassed. One of the greatest things for me is growing up in the hood because that always had to give me courage. I wasn't the kid that ran around with 1,000 people. I was always what I like to think is fly, drippy, whatever y'all want to call it. So moving with chains, and back in the day, you had and people who know me know I had nice chains. I had rapper chains since I was a young dude. But guess what? People smell fear. If you don't walk through the projects with a certain level of courage or a certain look in your eye, you become food. That also, you use that courage to relate to yourself in business. I don't care what nobody think. I remember one time when I had one of my restaurants and I closed it down for a bigger one. And then my man Jay had invested in it as well. But then you have people that say, oh, what happened to your restaurant? But did you ever open one? See, I always know how, I got mind hacks for my brain because I'm not gonna sit there and let somebody who never did it criticize how big or how small something I did work or didn't work because you ain't even tried it. So you can't let people project their fears onto you. And and if you feel like you lack courage, then a lot of that comes from your level of self-esteem. And you have to do things to encourage yourself. I would recommend people do words of affirmation. Those work big because if you tell yourself something enough, you'll believe it. And if you believe in yourself, that's gonna give you instant courage, believing in yourself. So that would be the first thing. Believing in yourself will give you the courage.
Perfect. Shifting is another part. Some people get to a point in life, they want to make a shift as far as in life, either from a move, career standpoint, or something that they're shifting, but one, they don't have the courage enough to take the leap. Not strategic enough or not prepared. Now, you've gone through and done quite a bit of shifting as far as in your life, as well, and also careers. What kind of suggestion can you give to our viewers about shifting life, career, relationships, shift?
When you're saying shifting as far as changing, into something different?
Shifting into something to changing or shifting into something different. Either if it's a relationship, career, business, or taken from a standpoint of, I want to understand about how I want to start a business, don't understand how to shift or change out of it, so, and not get paralyzed, along the way.
Gotcha. As French Montana says in one of his songs, change is good for everybody, right? And it is. Your mind is never going to stop evolving. The world isn't going to stop evolving. So you don't have to stop evolving. You know, sometimes people will see me and they'll say, "Oh, what is he doing now? Oh, I thought he was had the marketing company with the artist, or he managing this person, or he had a restaurant, or he had a clothing store, or he's trading. What's he doing?" And that used to bother me at first because I felt like I was looking like a jack of all trades and a master of none. But then it wasn't until I realized that is my business. My business is business. I like developing and opening businesses. So it was easy for me to make career shifts. But now somebody else, if that isn't in their natural DNA to just be like what they would coin a serial entrepreneur, you have to always do what you feel is right for yourself. If you feel your purpose in life is to do media, start your media company. Don't rush yourself either. It takes time for seeds to grow. And I think a lot of times with us being in the microwave era, people they're wanting success too fast, but it takes 15 years to be an overnight success. If you look at most people that stayed in any business, you stay in it long enough, eventually you'll become successful as long as you're truly working hard and you're delivering a value to the world. If you're not delivering a value to the world, then what good are you? You have to deliver some kind of value to the world. And if you do that and you're doing it from the heart, you won't face fear. You won't face fear. You have the courage to do it because you felt God told you to. And that shift and that transition will be easy for you because you won't be worried about what other people think. The more you worry about what other people think, the more it's going to leave you stagnated. I don't care if I wake up tomorrow and want to start another company. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and do it because I don't care what other people think. You could like me, love me. Now, my goal is for people to love me because I'm a loving person. I like to be surrounded by love. But if you don't, hey, just don't bother me and we good. You know what I'm saying? But that shift is easy when you feel like you're following your purpose. A lot of times you can't just open a business for the sake of opening a business. There was a time I wanted to invest in a strip club actually. But people who know me, no matter how big my music company was, people who knew me knew I didn't like strip clubs. There was something about it with me that I just didn't like the energy. You know, it bothered me to see extremely beautiful women dancing naked. But then now we're in an era where women can do whatever they want with their bodies, so you can't even have an opinion on it. But for me, I was like, damn, you could just do so much more. Because to me, that was the equivalent of men selling drugs, because it was quick bread. But I couldn't do it because it didn't rest well with my soul. So I had to just do something else. And I didn't have no fear doing something else because I felt it was more purposeful. So if people want to make a shift, dig into finding out what your purpose is. A lot of times when people come to my office, I help them find their purpose. We have a little diagram that I have them fill out. And through that diagram, we get to the core of what they feel like their purpose is on earth. And then I show them how to turn their purpose into profit.
It's wonderful. Now, this brings us up to today with the worldwide trading company. You have right here in Buckhead, Lenox, 6th floor. Explain that and how you are using the knowledge that you have gained, the highs, the lows, and the shifts to be able to educate other individuals about the true aspect of money and how it works.
Wow. So around 2010, the music business was collapsing, and I was trying to be self-taught in the stock market and learn how to trade stocks. That's what I always wanted to do in my life since a kid, because when I went to that yeshiva, those Jewish kids' dads were stockbrokers, or they worked in the stock Wall Street. But when I go back home, I'm going back to the hood. I'm from Far Rock, New York. Anybody know about Far Rock? Y'all know that place is, at that time was before gentrification, was nothing to mess with. But who was going to teach me that? Who was going to encourage me to follow that path and dream? I ain't even had nobody to talk to about it. And then I was an odd kid because I didn't go to the local public school. So people really they knew me because I was outside, but they didn't know me like the same dude that sat at the lunch table and beatbox on a desk. So what ended up happening was I met my partner Daniel Gamble, and he's been trading for over 20 years on Wall Street with my other man David Walker. And when I was telling them what I thought I knew as trading, they're like, boy, you're doing that all wrong. You're doing that all wrong. Mm-hmm. But I was glad that I met them because I went under a mentorship with them, and now we're in the process of developing our own hedge fund. Well, actually, I can't say in the process, we're doing it. So our competition is the Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, because we have people that are making money, but they don't feel comfortable going into those offices because nobody there is going to speak the language they speak. So we rather not say the hip hop. They're a lot more professional than I am because they came out of that world, so they still have like that banker image. But what we call the entertainment department, when they come in and they see me, I might have a more relatable look because all people care about is they don't care about how you look. They care about what you know. And I've always been a well-educated person. So when people sit down with me, they feel comfortable with us investing their money. Over the years, I haven't been a person known for taking people's money or doing anything unethical. And I always tell people, an educated client is the best client. So I don't want my clients can't just become a client by giving me money. You have to come to one of the classes because I want you to see what's going on. I want you to know what's going on. So when the stock market might turn, you're not calling me like, what do you do? Nah, you look at the news. Turn on CNBC. You know, this coronavirus that's going around is affecting the stock market. You got products coming out of China. Anytime things are quarantined, that affects trade, that affects shipping and goods. So that will have an effect on the market. So it also gave me a chance to learn global economics. Around 2008 or 9, I was building a mini subdivision. But what I didn't know was the world was in a recession because we didn't know what was going on. As most minorities, we're already kind of poor. So a recession is nothing for most black people because we already don't have nothing. That's why suicide rate is higher for wealthy people because you got to think, people at the top, when they falling far down. People at the bottom, you know, you can get up from there without too many problems. So I lost a ton of money, but now that I'm in finance, I'm learning about global economics. So I know how to make smarter investments. I know when is the right time to open a business, when I should wait, what market conditions are. I know how to do better research to open a business. A lot of times we open businesses, we don't even do the demographics in the area. It's like with real estate, you got to know the comps in the area. Same thing with your business. I had a old employee of mine came just for some gems, and they wanted to start some kind of spiritual healing business, but they're doing it like kind of like deep in the hood. And I'm like, yo, you know, you never know what God has for you. So when people give you advice, still go with your gut because that could be the one thing God wanted you to do to change things around. But if you're looking at a formula, I don't know how many people in the hood gonna have extra money to come in there for spiritual healing, even if they might need it. How conscious are they in that particular part of the hood? You know, it's Southside Atlanta you want to do this in. How many people know about chakras and you know aligning yourself with a higher spirit and crystals? I don't know, but go back there, do your research. There might be a reason there's no other stores like that in that neighborhood, but that don't mean you shouldn't be the first. You just got to do your research to see if you should be the first. So so that has been a tremendous blessing for me to take my skill set from owning a lot of different businesses and now to be in finance because I'm a humanitarian. You know, I'd rather help my people become better while I'm bettering myself. So I go through a lot of educational programs so I could get the knowledge because I know a lot of people not going to sit down and read a book. So that way, at least they could come to me, I could simplify it, give them the highlights of learning something and say, okay, these are the things you need to know, and hopefully what I could invest in them mentally give them the profits that they need spiritually, emotionally, and financially to be able to live a great life, but not just for yourself, to pass it on to your kids so we can end the struggle of poverty for amongst black people and other minorities.
That's great. Real quick, closing out, you slightly touched on this, but what are students who are going through your trading programs, what are they learning? And kind of share with us some of the successes that they're having as well.
That's great. They're learning how to move around as a trader in the stock market. There's a difference between an investor and a trader. Investors are pretty much in for the long term. But what I'm telling most black people, when we're investing in a stock, we're not buying hundreds of thousands of shares. So if you say, oh, I'm getting some Apple stock, it's good that you're trying to do something, but if you're only buying one or two, it's not going to really help you out, especially with Apple being at all-time highs. But you maybe have gotten an Apple when it was first starting, when the IPO was released. That's a different story. But as a trader, we know how to take short positions and long positions that can give us great gains and profits in a short time frame. That's what we're educating people on. We've been able to have at least 3 people quit their jobs and become full-time traders.
That's wonderful.
And it's just been amazing. Then one lady didn't like the performance that she saw how her 401k was being handled. And she cashed out her 401k and she's managing her own 401k. So we've been having a really good level of expectation set on us because we're having a high success rate with our students.
It sounds like they trust you, as well. And trust is a very important part that you've built your entire life around, since a little kid to growing up, through the businesses, the ethics, and the level of trust, which is very important. Real.
My man.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Thank you,
Good
Chris.
to see you.
Appreciate
Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, have a fantastic day.